Hello, and a very warm good afternoon to you all joining us on our various social media and then on our Fire Service TV. My name is ADU1 Alex Kingnati, and as usual, on Monday afternoons, we bring you Fire Service in Focus, where we look to delve into and to dissect issues relating to the performance of the Ghana National Fire Service. As usual, I have my own boss here with me, ACF 1, Timothy Osafu Efun. Sir, you're very welcome.
My pleasure.
It's always good to have you here, sir. Yes, sir. And today we'll be discussing a very important topic that pertains to the general operations and functions of the Ghana National Fire Service. That's RTC. We'll go for a break. When we come back, we'll want to delve more, get to understand what RTC means. Thank you very much for joining us and sticking with us. Let me remind you that you can join the conversation, and the number is 050-960-8744. 050-960-8744. And you can join in the conversation if you have questions or contributions relating to the topic that we'll be discussing. So, sir, once again, welcome, sir.
My pleasure once again.
Sir, so what we always know is that fire service doesn't always fight fires. We perform a wide range of operations or duties, and RTC is no exception. People would ask, what is RTC?
Thank you very much. So, as you indicated, the job of the firefighter is multifunctional. Multifunctional in the sense that wherever lives are involved, and the lives are in situations that are not safe, it is the responsibility of the firefighter to move that life from the unsafe area to a more safer place. And so, like you indicated, RTC is one of the functions that is performed by every firefighter. RTC simply means road traffic collision. So any occurrence on the road that occurs that will put lives and properties at risk, it is the responsibility of the firefighter to be there to ensure that both life and properties are saved.
Wow, that's very deep. So the RTC, does it only have to do with accidents or any other form of rescue within the purview of the fire service?
So, like the name indicates, it is road traffic collision. So whenever there is a collision on the road, whether a single car involving itself in a road crash or multiple cars involving in road crash, it is the responsibility of the fire service to move in. Once, if you leave the vehicle on the road, and it will cause additional injuries or accidents, then it is our responsibility to move in there to support the victims, whether victims or no victims. It is our responsibility to go in there to ensure that no additional risk is posed to lives and property.
Sir, we we often hear people talk only about fires. As a department, I know we've been trying our best to drum down our functions of road traffic coalition. But as the director PR, you are the head. What is your outfit doing differently or doing much more to drum down the purpose or the duty of fire service in respect to RTC, sir?
So, like you indicated, previously it was the view of a lot of Ghanaians that the only functions played by the fire service is putting out fires. Over the period, we've been able to drum home and educate and sensitize the populace that the firefighter's job goes beyond only firefighting. Like I indicated in my introduction, wherever lives are involved and the lives are in jeopardy, then it is the responsibility of the firefighter to move that life to a more safer place. So the job of the firefighter is also to ensure that when vehicles move on the road and any crashes occur, then we move in quickly to ensure that lives are protected from that road crash. And so that is what we do. And therefore, I want to reassure the public that we are poised to ensure that whatever occurs on our roads in terms of road crashes, we will be there to support them. You realize that in the past, a lot of people move in when there are road crashes to support our kins, to ensure that they move them from their wreckage to a safer place. Unfortunately, because they use crude methods in extricating the victims from the crashed vehicle, what happens is that they may end up destroying or aggravating the injury of the victim, more especially when it involves the spine of the victim. You know, spine is very complicated, and therefore, if you don't take time and you cause injury to the spine, it may end the victim being incapacitated for the rest of his life. And so we have been advising that, look, you want to help, but let us do it the right way. And the right way to do it is by calling the fire service to move in quickly to ensure that we've been able to get there on time and extricate these victims professionally from the wreckage and then send them to the hospital where they will receive proper medical attention.
Thank you very much, sir. So let's stick to the topic of collaborations. We've just looked at the collaboration of the Public Relations Department in doing their part to drum down the functions of fire service as it relates to road traffic coalition. But apart from the PR department, are there any internal or external collaborators that the RTC, collaborates with in order to achieve its mandate?
So, it starts from, I think last week we did Fire Master Control.
Yes,
they are the communication nerve of the service where emergency calls are received. When they are received, appropriate personnel and equipment are dispatched to respond to that particular emergency. So it all starts from the control room where calls are received, processed, and then appropriate equipment and personnel are dispatched to the scene. So one major department that plays a key role is the communication center, in other words called Fire Master Control. Or when you go to the regions, is the regional controls or the district controls. They are responsible for receiving and dispatching equipment and personnel to emergency centers. Now, who responds to the emergency? It is the Operations Directorate, of which the RTC team is part. So the team is then dispatched to the scene where they do assessment, initial assessment of the victims in order to employ the right processes of extricating the victim from the wreckage. And so these are the internal collaborators that come together to ensure that victims of road crash incidents are dealt with and safely extricated to the hospital.
So what about external? Do we collaborate mostly with the ambulance? Do we collaborate mostly with police? And then other, probably road safety, other external stakeholders that might probably help us in our duty?
So we have major stakeholders, and the major stakeholders are those that you have mentioned. We collaborate very effectively with the police, we collaborate with the ambulance, we collaborate with the Road Safety Commission as well. But when it comes to the field of operations, then we are in very close contact with the ambulance service and the police service, because these are the people we need on the ground. Police is to ensure that the firefighters operate in a safe area. So they control the crowd and they also control traffic to ensure that the firefighter who is doing the rescue has the peace of mind to work. Then we also have the ambulance service who also comes in when the victims are extricated from the crash vehicle. They are then assessed by personnel of the ambulance service, and then they are then transported to the hospital where they receive the final care until they recover.
So since we mentioned the police being at the scene, we know that in recent times, we've some of our firefighters in some areas have been victims of an unfortunate attacks on them. Has there ever been a situation where our rescue crew have been under attack, and for what purposes, if you can remember?
Right. As far as I'm concerned, when it comes to rescue, there hasn't been any attack unless it has not come to my attention. But as far as I know, such incidents don't occur. They only occur when there are fire incidents. That is where, because people's property are burning, they vent their anger on our firefighters, claiming that they didn't arrive on time. And so apart from firefighting, that some populists attack our firefighters, when it comes to rescue, I've not come across any attacks on our firefighters.
Well, then we are hoping that it stays like that, and it's also a hope that our clarion call for people to be much more restraining when it comes to attacking fire officers would heed results. Please do well to join the conversation on our various social media platforms, on X, on Facebook, and then on our TV station. For those joining us, we appreciate your messages. Keep sending them through, and then you can still join us via phone on 050-960-8744, 050-960-8744. So we are still having the very important conversation with ACF1 Timothy Osafo-Efum, the Director, Public Relations. Sir, this question is quite interesting. Is every firefighter a rescuer, and is every rescuer a firefighter?
Right. So at training, we all receive the basics. However, you need to get additional training before you can become a rescuer. You see, rescuing is different from firefighting. They are two separate entities, even though they can go hand in hand. So you may go for firefighting, but when you get there, there are people to be rescued as well. So you combine firefighting in that respect with rescue operations. And you see, because you have the basics, you can do rescue even though you went in to do firefighting. In the same way, if you are trained as a rescuer, and when you go, you need to put off fire before you can rescue, or you ought to do both hand in hand, because you also have the basics, then you'll be able to do all. But basically, you are one trained as a firefighter before you also became a rescuer. So a rescuer is a firefighter, but a firefighter is not mostly a rescuer, in that you need to get experience, special training before you can do the fire rescue as well.
Okay, sir. So it's interesting to note that is there, with rescues, for instance, we know that there's a lot of blood. You go and you see people's legs broken. Someone said chopped off. Is there any criteria, or what does it take for someone to transition from a firefighter to a rescuer?
So naturally, some people are afraid of blood. The moment they see blood, they can themselves collapse. But you need to be conscious of people who are therefore afraid of blood, because such people, if you send them to especially road traffic crashes where you have blood spilling, such people will not be able to perform. And so you need to get people who are not afraid of blood. Then you train them into the extrication or into rescue operations, because mostly, especially when it is road crashes, you will always see blood. Most of the times, 90% of the times, you will see blood. And so if somebody is naturally afraid of blood, then such a person is not qualified to be trained as a rescuer. Because if you train such a person as a rescuer and he goes and see blood, he will not be able to perform. Therefore, you've wasted an opportunity to save a life. And when lives are in danger, especially when blood is spilling, the person has about just 8 minutes to survive. Maybe it took the firefighters, let's say, 5 minutes to get to the scene. So the person has just additional 3 minutes to live. And so if you get there and there is blood, and the person you sent is afraid of blood, then you are also going to waste additional minutes trying to get someone who is not afraid of blood to come in to save the situation, by which time we may lose the victim.
Okay, sir, so let's stay on the issue of blood and these risks. I'm not too sure if you had been with RTC before, because of your state as a former regional commander for Tema. Has there been any time when your personnel have shared experiences, life-threatening experiences on the job with you?
So I have a lot more experiences to share, but for the reasons of limitation of time, I'm just going to share just one. In the times past, the Tema Aflao Road, especially between Tema and Adan, we used to have a lot of road crashes there. Now the road is good, so once a while then we record accidents on that road. But there was a metro bus that had an accident on the road, and it was night. So after extricating all the victims, we realized that one of the victims has the head chopped off. So we had to look around using flashlights to look for the chopped off head. So when we found it, one officer, one firefighter was asked to go for the head. And that officer that went for the head, that is chopped off, for like 3 months, the guy was still seeing that scenario in his vision. And so those days too, there was nothing like psychological treatment for firefighters. Unfortunately, the guy didn't receive any counseling. or treatment. And so for that 3 continuous months, the guy couldn't eat meat. Anytime meat is put before him, it felt like the head that he went in for, that has been put before him. And so these are the issues or difficulties that firefighters face. And fortunately now we have a counseling department that takes firefighters through psychological treatment. And so things have improved, but those days it was very terrible for firefighters.
Wow. I'm pretty sure the guy will turn into a vegetarian after this unfortunate encounter. For those joining us on Facebook, thank you so much. We are seeing your comments. Mame Sewakutu, nice show. Thank you very much. And please, Prince Entry and Prince Entry again. Please, we are not discussing recruitment today, so we won't be able to talk about. So please do send in a message in relation to the topic and the discussion, and then the director would, gladly. And then the director will gladly answer questions in relation to this. We'll have a different day where we'll talk about recruitment. But for now, please, let's stick to the topic. So please, you can call in, and please, when you call, no recruitment. It's still about RTC 0509 608 744 0509 608 744. Sir, so now we've spoken about the horror they've seen. Has there been a time when their lives has been in danger? They've faced any life-threatening situation in the line of duty?
Of course. You see, sometimes you get to the scene, the police would not be present at the time, and you need additional hands. If you don't need additional hands, one person is asked to control traffic. And so we have occasions where in the process of rescuing, cars or other road users have crashed into the operations of the rescuing team. And so we have incidents like that we have faced. Basically, normally what we do is to use the fire tender to block the oncoming cars that may be facing where we are operating. But some unscrupulous drivers who think that they are in too much hurry have caused problems for us. Fortunately, we have not recorded any deaths, but injuries have been recorded in the line of duty as a result of careless drivers who think that they are in a hurry and therefore crash into our crew.
So my, I know that to say sympathy goes to any injured rescuer who himself has been a victim in the line of duty. Sir, so looking at the enormous role that the RTC team plays, would you say that the RTC team is well resourced in order to tackle their mandates?
That's a multi-million-dollar question for me to answer. It will be difficult for me to say they are well resourced. The equipment that we use for our operations, they virtually don't even exist. All of them are old, just like our fire appliances that are old. And so it is our hope that once new appliances are being worked on, they will come with these new extrication equipments so that it will aid and facilitate our operations on the road. Because if these equipments are unable to cut or spread to create space for us to remove the casualties, then it becomes the time for extricating them becomes long, and the longer time it spends, the more risk it is to lose a life. And so the modernity of our equipment is also very important. It's important as the person that we are rescuing. If the equipment is blunt and it cannot cut, or is old, therefore very weak, and its efficiency has gone down, then it takes us a lot more time for us to be able to extricate the victim from the entrapment. And therefore, it is important that the equipment is also up to date so that quickly we'll be able to remove the entrapped victims or extricate them from the wreckage.
Yes, sir. So we'll be going for a break soon, but let's get this question in the way first. So we've spoken a lot about equipment. What kind of equipment do they use during road traffic collisions, and which of them or which tools do you think are much more important that would help effectively help the crew perform their duty?
So I would say every equipment is very important. Every equipment used by the road traffic collision team is very crucial, and that is why they are part of the set of equipment that is used. Even though some play lead role, like the cutters, the spreaders, and the combi tool, they are very, very crucial when it comes. They don't work in isolation. They work with the motor, and so the motor is used to power these tools. Even though you may have them as manual or as being charged and being used on the field, they are all equally important because they play a role in ensuring that we extricate the victims from the wreckage.
Okay, so this again to sum it all up before we go for the break. This should be a clarion call to everyone, every stakeholder, even citizens, that the tools that we use are not kept in our rooms. They are used for rescue purposes. When you, as a citizen, is trapped in an accident, so please do well to help resource the fire service so that we can be able to help serve you better. So on this clarion call, we'll go for a quick break. We'll come back, watch some videos or some pictures of some of these extrications, and then the conversation continues. Stay tuned.
Welcome to the Ghana National Fire Service TV, simply called the Fire Service TV. This channel is coming up to fill a gap in the Ghanaian television industry. The Ghana National Fire Service was established to prevent and manage undesired fires. And as part of that mandate, we are to conduct public fire safety education. Now, as an institution that was established to provide fire safety education, there is the need to have a channel through which this education will be propagated to the people of this good country, Ghana. This station is being established as alternative to other security channels that deal specifically on security issues. This channel will therefore focus on the safety of the generality of the people of Ghana. This station is therefore going to show the people of Ghana what to do and what not to do in order to have a safe country for all of us. Safety is very practical in nature, and therefore short videos and clips are going to be shown on this particular channel, the Fire Service TV, to the people of Ghana, so that everything we do will be practicalized. You can sit comfortably in your home, watch this channel, and practice it so that we'll be safe in this country. Therefore, I urge all of you Ghanaians to tune into this channel every day of your life so that we will all be safe in our country, Ghana. Thank you very much.
Friends, this once upon a time said, it is not what, but the interpretations of what that we place on what has happened that matters. A lot of things happen to us. The world is throwing a lot of things to us. The question is, how are we dealing with all that the world throws at us? Others may decide to resort to destructive tendencies. Now, there's also sometimes you need to make decisions which way to go so that we can live life to the fullest. Friends, it is as a result of these things that happen to us in the world that I invite all of us to make time with your counselor on the program, time with the counselor. Reverend Diwotu Ike Ezwami, the Chaplain General of Ghana National Fire Service, on Fire Service TV for more insights into how to build resilience against the onslaughts of our time. Thank you.
Abrabo eyefe abrabo eye enijie yaudi ensusu ewomu enipa bebre na abrabo atocha enu ti na yedi dwumedie hronko a yato ni din me and you ye kasa ede afa eja hyehye ho eniema esisi ewo entertainment industry new emu yeto nsa ede afresh celebrities nimdefo nim de ensemo yede to akoso a ni nyina mu no ye bepe ho promesi bro eni ti hia me Fire Service TV so Mimi Debiara 4 p.m. to 5 p.m. Jimedi mi amidi mo mimidi edema mesewa akoto. You come me and you are no adine so say you can do it. Don't miss out.
Hi and welcome back again to Fire Service TV, and be reminded to join our conversation 050 960 8744. The number is 050 960 8744. We're having a very interesting and thought-provoking conversation with the Director of Public Relations, ACF1, Timothy Osafuifu, having to discuss the most important topic of road traffic collision as a mandate of the Ghana National Fire Service. So we have a comment from Isaac Foley, and it's quite a lengthy one, but then to summarize it, he's asking that why is it that road users or drivers disregard the siren whenever the fire tender or the rescue appliance is moving, but then when the driver, accidentally scratches or a car or causes damage, is rather queried by the service. So this one, since AC's here, you answer the question himself, sir.
Yes, in the first place, every road user who hears the blaring of the siren must pull to the right and give way to the emergency appliance that is coming. It may not necessarily have to be only fire tenders. We may have ambulance or the police. Any of these three emergency institutions, when you hear their siren, you need to give way, just go to the right. The oncoming will also go to the right and give way for the emergency appliance to pass. We have also observed that a lot of people don't give way. Some even take advantage of the situation. As others are giving way, they will be using that opportunity to go through being ahead of the emergency tender. Now, as emergency responder, you are also to abide by all road regulations. And so it is advisable that if road users are not giving you way to move, just relax. You can pick their number. Then after you have returned from the emergency, you give the numbers to the police to track them down and to give them whatever sanctions that the law stipulates. And so that is what, as a first responder, you must do. Anybody that impedes your movement, you can record the number and then give it to the appropriate quarters for action. but you are also to abide by all road regulations as well. That is why if you are involved in an accident, a committee is set. And then when the committee comes out with the conclusion that you were at fault, then you will be punished. If it is not coming, the fault is not coming from you and the incident happened, then you will be allowed to go. But once they conclude that the fault is coming from you, you get the appropriate punishment because you are also expected to abide by all road regulations.
Mr. Foliso, I hope this answers your question, and I hope the director has made a lot of sense in trying to answer your question successfully. So we have Madam Mary Usumensa, a regular, also joining us on Facebook. She says, great job. Thank you very much. Comments like this spur us on to do good by you. So back to the RTC question, sir. What would you say, being a member of management and being a director of public relations, what would you say is the current state of the RTC department?
So we have well-trained personnel who are ready for any RTC incident, and for that matter, rescue incidents. However, as I indicated earlier on, we are now gradually inching to where our equipment are becoming very old and therefore needs replacement. I also indicated earlier on that the longer it takes for us to extricate a victim, the more likely it is that we may lose that victim. Therefore, you need equipment that are modern, that can quickly cut or create space to remove the victim from where he or she is trapped. And so if you have equipment that are old and therefore inefficient, it will take you longer time for you to cut and create space to remove the victims. So the state of our equipment level, we need to improve upon them. Fortunately for us, government is working assiduously in giving us state-of-the-art equipment. And so it is our hope that when these equipments are purchased and they come in, they will help our RTC team, who will then be able to effectively and efficiently extricate victims from wreckages that occur on our routes.
Thank you very much, sir. So I'll go back to the question about the safety of the rescuers, just like who rescues the rescuer. What measures are put in place, even though we've not recorded any instance of death, from a rescuer in the line of duty, or we've not seen any brutalities meted out against rescuers? What is the service putting in place to ensure the safety generally of rescuers?
So maybe there is one thing I ought to have added. You see, when the team goes out like that, we have what we call a safety officer among the team. So the safety officer ensures the safety of all officers on the ground or rescuers on the ground. So the safety officer's responsibility is to ensure that nothing untoward happens to any of the team members. Unfortunately, in Ghana, we don't have the equipment, and so we always move with just one vehicle. And so that safety responsibility also falls on the duty commander, who ensures that in as much as his officers rescue or extricate the victims from the trap wreckage, he also provides, or he also adds on as a safety officer. So his responsibility as well is to ensure that all his officers are safe. And so that one is done. If you ask what management is doing, the additional thing that management is doing is to ensure that our officers undergo regular training to remind them of these safety responsibilities that is added to their functions. Then also we ensure that as soon as we arrive and the police is not there, we quickly inform them to arrive. Sometimes it takes some time, but definitely they will be there. They also have their constraints, but gradually we'll get there. I'm sure we'll get there.
So glad to hear that, and it's a hope that the road is muddy, the road is rough, but eventually we'll get there. Let's go watch some videos of our men or our rescuers performing rescue duties. Then it will probably give us a better understanding of the sacrifice and the kind of commitment and dedication it takes to be a member of the RTC. Let's check out the video. Well, what I can say for now is Ayiko to our gallant rescuers. They didn't only extricate the victim, they carried the victim and made sure that they were safe. So a big Ayiko to the brave and dexterous rescuers. Sir, back in training school, one topic that personally I tried avoiding, even though I knew how important it was knots and lines. Coming out of training, I tend to appreciate the essence of knots and lines. What role does knots and lines play in the performance of rescue?
So when we talk about knots and lines, lines as referred here is a fire service term, but in the ordinary language we say rope. So we use the rope in almost every sphere of our duties. So these lines are what support us in doing a lot of things, mostly in securing. When we say securing, it means in stabilizing objects. So we use it to hold the object, either pull it up, pull it down to guide or to rescue. So in almost every sphere of our duties, we use knots and lines. The knot means you need to tie it in a certain way that will be secured for you to carry it to whatever length, either to a height or to a depth that you want to send it. And so knot and lines play a crucial role in our duties, more especially when we are doing. Maybe at another time we will look at water rescue. More especially when we do water rescue, it is knot and lines that we use to do these type of rescues. Simply because we cannot even boast of one boat for water rescue. And therefore, when it comes to that stage, we employ massively the use of knots and lines to ensure that we rescue flood victims from the dangerous area to a more safer place.
Thank you. That's very insightful. I guess now to those who are asking, when is the recruitment coming? When is the recruitment coming? When you get a chance to go to training, take notes and lines serious as a topic in the training school. So back on Facebook. So for those sending their messages, we appreciate your messages and we encourage you to keep sending your messages, and we'll do well to read your messages. So Pascal, a very ardent and loyal follower of the page, marvelous and insightful. Thank you very much. Rokasari is watching us all the way from Canada. God bless you so much for joining us. This shows that loyalty, there's no barrier to loyalty, and we appreciate you. Said you guys are doing a great job for Mother Ghana. Thank you very much. We are humbled for your message. So, we've discussed the issue of prank calls before, and I know that prank calls will not only relate to firefighters. Do we record that with RTC, and how does it affect us?
So I don't remember we recording pranks when it comes to accidents. Mostly when they come, they are reporting of a fire. For rescue purposes, I've not come across any. I am not saying they don't exist. They may exist, but it has not come to my attention. As far as I know, all that I know is that people call and indicate that there is a fire at one place or another, and therefore requesting for our assistance, only to get there to know that it's a pranking, that they were pranking us. So, as far as I know, that is what it is.
The issue of prank calls has always been a matter of worry to us, and we are hoping that through these avenues, people's attention will be drawn to the worrying trend of prank calls, and help us in reducing or totally eliminating prank calls from our lines. So, RTC, we know has been in existence for a long time, you know, and over the years, what would you say has been some of the successes we have chalked in relation to RTC?
You see, as a result of RTC, a lot of lives have been saved. Like I indicated, when the fire service was formed, in those days that we were doing only firefighting and humanitarian services, when accidents occur on our road, you see people using axes to go and cut in order to save victims. Unfortunately, by the time they finish cutting, they have themselves even turned up killing the victims. And so it is very good that the fire service, since the fire service started with road traffic extrication, we've been able to save a lot more lives. And we have moved from that crude period in which we use axes and other implements to cut through wreckages to remove victims, to the modern times that because of the equipment that the fire service has, it is easy to scientifically remove these victims from the wreckage without any further injury to them.
Wow. So looking at the situation that rescuers find themselves, just as we mentioned, the fact where you said someone had to go and pick up a human head. Some have been injured in the line of this duty. What would you say has been the driving motivation for these rescue team? What motivates them?
You see, it is about saving life. If you're able to save life, you see how good you look throughout the day. And it is the same when you are unable to save a life, you also feel very bad throughout the whole day. And so the motivation of the rescuer is to ensure that whichever victim they meet, they'll be able to rescue the victim alive and not dead. So the motivation of the fire rescuer is to save life. Once you save the life, you are motivated to do even more.
Okay, that's very comforting. Looking at the fact that there's no special incentives for rescuers, and the fact that the service is striving to come up with psychological support for officers within this team to be able to help them deal with some of the dangerous and life-threatening situations they find themselves in. We'll be rounding up soon, but what would you tell, if you had to speak to the public, straight in the camera, what would you tell them about the important work of RTC and what we as a service expect of them?
So, gone were the days when road accidents occur and the first point of call was the police. Now, the first point of call is the fire service. Anytime there is a road traffic crash and people are trapped, please call immediately the fire service first before you call any other agency. The reason why you call the fire service first is that if lives are involved and other agencies get to the scene first, they will not be able to extricate the victim from the wreckage. Therefore, it is incumbent on all of us that anytime there is a road crash and lives are involved, the first point of call is the fire service, who are trained and with the requisite equipment to get to the scene and extricate the victims in there and hand them over to be sent to the hospital. So if you are listening to me, your take home for today is that anytime there is a road crash and lives are involved, your first point of call should be the fire service so that we can rush in to save lives.
Thank you very much, sir. And what you said is a two-way street. So you've spoken to the public. Now, as a member of management and as a director of public relations, please speak to your officers and men in the rescue department, letting them know what you have to tell them.
So, for my dear firefighters and rescuers, you have done a yeoman's job over the period, and I use this opportunity to acknowledge your contribution in saving lives, especially on our roads. We are aware your equipments are old and they need replacement. I can, on behalf of management, reassure you that government is seriously working on getting us modern equipment, state-of-the-art equipment. When that arrives, then the difficulty you have on the field in extricating victims from wreckages will be a thing of the past. So be rest assured that action is being taken, and sooner than later, when these equipment arrive, you will feel more comfortable in executing your job of saving lives and property.
Thank you very much. And as the accounts will say, na insu asa. Our boss has said it all. He has reiterated the commitment management is putting in place to ensure your security, ensure your safety, and ensure a much more conducive and comfortable working environment, since the personnel are our priority. It's been a very insightful and exciting topic. This has been a topic that has been on the minds of people, and as a service, we are listening service, and as a TV station, we are listening TV station where we discuss issues that are much more interesting to you. And so be rest assured that you keep being glued on the Fire Service TV, and we'll be bringing you much more exciting programs. For those who joined us online, thank you very much. For those who joined us on TV, thank you very much. And to my boss, ACF1, Timothy Osafo-Efum, thank you so much for always being available to us at our beck and call.
It's a call to service.
Yes, sir, and I can see you are doing that service very diligently. My name is ADO1 Alex Kengnati. This has been Fire Service in Focus on Fire Service TV. Please do make a date with us next week. But in the meanwhile, enjoy all our other exciting programs on Fire Service TV. Have a blessed day.